Welcome back again, you Fabricans and Fleshbags. It is I, Jen Thepuppet. Yes, that is French. And I am here with the Super Not Funny Show reviews. This week, we review Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated TV show that's from CBS All Access, and it's one of what we call New Trek, created by Mike McMahon, who you may know as a co-creator of Rick and Morty. And if Rick and Morty in Star Trek is something that sounds good to you, this is the show for you. It definitely does reflect that sort of sometimes frenetic sensibility. Anything can sort of happen, but with a lot of heart at times also. And you can also clearly see that this is a show about not just, poking fun at Star Trek, but also really about kind of lovingly ribbing something that really means something to you. I think it's pretty clear that the writers, the creators of this show, they are Trekkies through and through. It's a 10-episode series. Each episode runs something like 22 to 25 minutes. And so it really actually makes a pretty quick run through. If you are one of these old school, New Trek sucks sort of people, this may be your Trek show. It is, in my mind, very much a new sensibility, but also respecting the old in a way that is very reminiscent of the era in which it's actually taking place, which is the Next Generation era. Anyway, so what's the show about? This show is really about 4 ensigns who are in the lower decks, and they do all the grunt work. And at the same time, they get on adventures because, starships can't ever just do anything without having all sorts of misadventures and hijinks. I don't want to say these are stereotypes, but they are some pretty easy to recognize sorts of people. You have Boimler. He's the goody two-shoes, know-it-all, follows the rules, that sort. He's like Hermione Granger if he was a dude and kind of pasty and was way more into the rules than she was. And then you have Tendi, who was an alien. She's an Orion, and but she's also really happy-go-lucky, very just thrilled to be there, loving her job, and really friendly, wanting to be everyone's friend and wanting everyone to like her. Then you have Mariner, and she's kind of like she's the rebel of the group. She's the perpetual ensign who has all these skills, but has all this disdain for the upper management, if you will, the command crew. She's very skilled, even almost to the point of being a Mary Sue, but they subvert that very quickly and very easily. And then you have Rutherford. He's like the cool, nice, he's the tech guy. He's an engineer, loves his job. He's all into tech and everything. And between the 4 of them, they're friends, and they work together and go on missions together. And in between there, they navigate the halls with, running into the command crew, the command structure, and also with other people going in and off the ship, all the various missions. It's all, plays out in an episodic fashion. It's very much old school Trek, but, don't think of it as, it's Next Generation Part 2. It really plays out similarly, but with our current sensibility. And, the current sensibility is deconstruction and kind of, pastiche. Some of it is a little bit of parody. But, again, I say, it's all in love. And you can tell with the deep cuts that they go for in this show. This show's not perfect. It does deserve some criticism. And so we'll start with those first, and then we'll end up with all the stuff that I thought was cool. One of the things that it does that's, I would almost say questionable, would be that the way it upends fan assumptions about not just the universe, like certain aspects that weren't explicitly stated, but also the way we expect things to play out in a Star Trek show. This isn't always bad. Sometimes it's actually really great. It follows the episodic storylines, but sometimes none of the things necessarily matter episode to episode. And it's not just that Lower Decks does this. The other ones do that too. But I think in a show that's so short and that's following a few through lines or throughout the season, it shouldn't throw away so many things so easily. And another thing is that sometimes reaching for jokes, poking fun, that sort of thing, sometimes it's at the expense of, character development or storyline. Not always. It's not like a really egregious amount of it, but there are certainly a lot of in jokes, certainly a lot of references, and if you don't really follow Star Trek very seriously, it could be a little daunting. You don't know what the hell they're talking about. Hell, I don't know what the hell they're talking about sometimes. I have to have it explained to me. I liked Trek. I'm not a deep Trek fan. So it does become a little annoying sometimes. One other thing that's maybe a little bothersome is that, in a way, it sort of makes out the Cerritos, which is the ship that the Lower Decks crew is on, makes it out to be a little bit of a joke. And that can be a little annoying. I mean, you're flying a spaceship. It's not like you're riding on some tugboat in the Hudson Bay, which, by the way, if you work on a tugboat in the Hudson Bay, that's not a slight on you, but you ain't driving a starship. So it does seem a little bit like they literally say they're on the worst ship in the whole Starfleet, and you really don't want to feel like you are following a band of losers. But it doesn't feel like that the whole way through it. They do things to rehabilitate that, but it does sort of play into the whole setup of the ship of the show, that the ship is sort of a joke. As I said, I rewatched, and on the rewatch, the jokes weren't as funny as they were on the first time through. They were still funny. They were still funny stuff. But some of the things that kind of had me slapping my knee in the first place, the first time around, the second time around, they were just chuckles. So maybe there's some shelf life on the humor in here. It's still funny. I think you still get something out of it. But maybe knowing everything that's going to play out does affect how funny it actually is the second time around. So those really are my few quibbles with the show. So let's move on to, the good stuff. The things I really like. So first of all, I'm going to tell you straight up, I love this show. I was laughing my ass off every episode, probably being really annoyingly loud, actually. And then sometimes they had some really, really cool action and some cool little sequences. They built up the characters, so you actually cared about them. I grew to like all of the characters. I think probably my favorite is probably Tendi, just her attitude about everything, and she's just so excited to be there on Starfleet and in a ship and doing her job, and she's just very sweet. All the characters are really awesome. I think what's amazing about this show is how well developed everything actually is from the get-go. There is no give us a season and we'll get our shit together with this show. They have their shit together. They know who Mariner, Boimler, Tendi, and Rutherford are. Hell, they know who the command crew are. It's really nice though, so they know what they're actually doing and what they're aiming for, and they reach for it and they get it. It's really quite nice. And as I said, it's episodic, but there are through lines that run from episode 1 all the way to episode 10. Everything, builds to a pretty great conclusion. There's just a lot of satisfying moments throughout, a lot of really, really funny moments. There's guest spots, and those guest spots, some of them are just kind of like throwaway, and some of them are actually important. There's references that actually come back later on in the show. We get to see some, I would say, Star Trek royalty, if you will, come into the show. And I mean, it's just a lot of really nice things for people who like Trek. And I'd say if you don't know Trek, you'd still probably have a pretty fun time. They're on a spaceship, they go on missions and all that other stuff. Sometimes it plays out as office drama. Sometimes it plays out as, an adventure story. It could be all sorts of things. I think they spend a lot of time subverting expectations. It was very light, which is contrary to most of what New Trek has been. New Trek has been very dark and gritty, and that sort of sci-fi, which I'm fine with. I actually like New Trek quite a bit, but this is a good change of pace, and it just revisits a part of Star Trek canon that a lot of people like a lot. And I know Next Generation was my Star Trek, so it really just hit a right chord for me. I also will call out that animation really frees them to do a ton of really cool stuff. They almost literally do an episode that's like a Star Trek movie. It's really pretty amazing. Again, lovingly parroting the Star Trek movie aesthetic. It's just really nice. Just animation gives them so much freedom to do cool and fun stuff. Hell, that finale, the season finale, has some of the, in my opinion, some of the best Star Trek action straight up. I would like to shout out in particular, just as a awesome part of this, was that finale. Just a rousing finale, an amazing finale. Probably, I'd say in my top 5 for this year season finales of the show that I've seen. Just really awesome. Had me clapping, jumping up in my seat. It's thrilling. It was heartfelt. There's just a lot of really, really great stuff in that final episode. I can't sing this show's praises enough. They really, really did. They did the best thing with this. I'm sad that I'm gonna have to wait, another year before we get 10 more episodes. And I want them to expand this damn thing to like 13 episodes. But I know that's not the way the Rick and Morty works. What else can I say? Star Trek Lower Decks is awesome. I highly recommend it. Check it out. Star Trek Lower Decks. Great show. Great Star Trek. Just an overall great package. And you just can't go wrong if you watch it. So, that's been the Super Not Funny Show's review of Star Trek Lower Decks. I hope you enjoyed it. Got a comment, you like what you saw, just shoot me a comment down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll do some more of this some other time. And until then, I'm Mo Thepuppet. I just want to say, I'll see all you fleshbags and all you Fabricans on the next time.